walking like earlier today. I was walking in Target and I just broke down, man. Started like tears just flooded my eyes while I was walking through Target. And he's like, "You're gonna be doing mundane things, and it's gonna hit you, and you're gonna cry." And then he said, "And then other times you might do something, and it reminds you of something about her that you loved and y'all laughed about, and you might laugh." He's like, "And both of those are okay." He's like, "You have to remember her for the good times and that you're missing her, and that's how you're gonna get past it."
What up, what up, what up? It's Three Brothers No Sense. I'm so happy to be back. We took a little hiatus, but for good reason. I'm joined my brothers from another mother, my co-hosts, my friends, my backbones, Razi and Buff. We're going to start with you, Razi. Razi, tell the people what's on your mind.
Man, so much. So for those of the listeners that don't know, if you don't follow us on our social media, my wife passed away last week, last Tuesday, very unexpectedly, and so I just want one. That's why we didn't post. That's why we didn't drop an episode last week, but or this. I guess this week as we record, whatever it is, we didn't drop an episode. But I want to tell you guys, I appreciate all the outpouring of support, the love that I felt. These two guys flew in from Houston and from DC with their families. We had a just beautiful, beautiful homegoing celebration for my wife. I really appreciate all of that. And everybody posting, everybody saying, condolences and everything. And when you are giving those condolences, you might think it doesn't make a big difference or whatever, but I promise you, I looked at everyone, I read everyone. It encouraged me when I was in some of the darkest times during the last week. And so I appreciate it. I really do appreciate every last one of them. Thank you guys. Thank you guys so much. And, you might be wondering why I was like, nope, we're going to record this week. And, I go to counseling. I went to grief counseling. I actually had a counseling session today. And, I told them like, this is therapy for me. This is my way of getting it out. And I know it might sound weird because it's in front of everybody, just talking to my two best friends, like being able to say, what's going on with me and them being able to give me feedback. I know the listeners are there, but it really is just us guys talking. And so I'm here for some of that therapy, man. I'm gonna get it out. And listeners, if y'all hear me go quiet or I don't say nothing for a good while, I'm probably crying. But like we said on earlier episodes, man, it's okay to cry. Get it out.
We started this show back in August and it's now March. And I think each week we've shown you guys the no sense side of this podcast. We have a lot of fun. We talk a lot of noise. But as Razio mentioned, how Ferg and I, we both traveled to Birmingham. We really showed that brother side, man, between the three of us. Like, you couldn't tell me we had different mothers that whole weekend. Like, we were one big family. We all hurt. I'll never forget that phone call Ferg made to me when he told me what happened. So it was, despite everything that happened, it was good to see how well we came together. I've gone from a few episodes ago saying how I had never cried in front of my wife, but between Kobe and what happened last week and the phone call my mom gave me that time, I think I done cried about 30 some times now, man. So that's out the window for me, man.
Yeah, so, man, that's a whole nother episode.
So I didn't already forgot what else I'm gonna say. I'm gonna just say this though. We have no idea where this show is gonna go today. So just rock with us. We usually have a format of how we want things to go. Today, we are like really, really just freestyling. So just rock with us on this one, man.
Well, Razi, man, I don't even know how to express the love and the level of just respect I have for you right now, man. I I made it up in my mind that we would never do another show. I just be honest with you. I was like, it it'll never be the same, and it never will be the same. You know, it never will. It never will be the same. And but to come back, not even just for this. This is just on a whole nother level, man. So tip of the hat to you. But just the strength that you possessed and you presented all last week, through it all, man. Man, I don't know what to say. Into your family, into your friends, into all our listeners and people that have supported and asked and prayed with you. And I'm going to be honest, I have people calling me, checking up on me every day right now.
Yeah.
You know,
same.
And the fact that this show has made an impact on so many people. I have people like, I've never met Razi, but I haven't talked to Razi lately. I have a friend that was talked to me. He's like, man, I've never met him, but I hurt. My brother, I talked to him a few days ago, and he's just like, he listened to the podcast actually Tuesday morning, and I talked to him later that week, maybe Thursday, and his whole thing was like, I feel like I just talked to Razi. And I'm like, nah, you ain't just talked to Razi. But hearing you and not meeting you, but just continuing your relationship and growing your relationship with him through the podcast. So, man, I'm happy that you're back. I'm happy that we're doing this. Like Byron said, I don't know where this episode is going. I don't know where the podcast is going, but I'm just happy to be back in front of you, in front with you guys. And something you said at Jennica's homegoing service is you're not going to go back into your shell. And I mean, everything I've seen or heard since then from you shows me that you're not. And so I'm proud of you. Whenever you want to do this, however you want to do this, let's do it. But I've been talking for a while, so I think I'm going to shut up. But I'm just going to not just shut up. I'm going to offer a moment of silence. Let's take a few moments just to pay honor and homage to a great woman who will be with us forever. And after that, we'll pay some bills, man. All right. How you holding up over there, Ra?
Good, man. I'm tearing up, but because y'all know usually this is when she's busting in like, hey y'all, and stuff. Like it's almost like clockwork. Like usually be coming through that door.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. Well, when you bring us back in, you wanna give your joke?
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we're back. Like I said, it's a little different from what we're used to. What I didn't get to say last time is when I last left us, I was telling you guys about, we were talking about the accidents. Haley got in an accident. I had an accident a few weeks ago. And I was just telling you how great Progressive and Caliber Collision are. Well, let me bring that back up. And let me tell you something. Progressive.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a big 180.
Yeah. Since then, I bought a new truck from a friend, got a new policy with Progressive, and they did a great job in handling my claim. I bought the truck at the beginning of January, got in an accident end of January. It was really crazy. Got insurance probably a week before I got the accident. You guys know the story. But at some point, Progressive supposedly sent me a letter or whatever and reached out to me saying they needed me to verify my address. So they sent me a letter to my address saying they needed to verify my address. At the same time, I had a lot of claim stuff going on. And basically, I woke up Monday morning last week to an email from like 4:00 in the morning said my insurance had been canceled. They terminated my insurance because I had made my payment and everything. And so in the state of Texas, you have a lapse in insurance for a day. So at that point, I had no insurance. And so when I go back to call Progressive, they're like, oh, we needed you to verify your address, but we can get you on another claim, another policy. My policy doubled.
Ooh.
Yeah, my premium had doubled. It went from like 160 something to 300 and something dollars. My bad. And all they had to do was backdate it one day and I would have been good. Yeah, they did that. And now they're found out there's some more problems with the truck and they're trying to say it was like that before it got there. And I'm like, nope. So a big F you Progressive. And I will follow up next week to let you know how I feel about Caliber Collision, depending on how they handle this.
Mm-hmm.
But on a lighter note, Razi, I think you owe us a joke. And I think you know which one I want to hear. I think it might be your best one yet.
Yeah, man. So for everybody who don't know, Jennica used to slide these jokes to me. So everybody thinks that they're my jokes, but these are Jenica's jokes. I just want to throw that out there. But so why don't people like peppers?
Why? Why
Yeah.
don't they?
Because they be all up in your business.
I actually like that, Will.
Yeah. That was the best one yet. That was the best one yet.
And to
So
be
one
honest,
of my neighbors, it's funny. One of my neighbors stopped me and was like, when I got back from the service, I had to go tell that joke to my husband. Like they were super excited about that.
It was good.
Yeah.
And I actually, bro, like I said, the strength that you displayed through the whole thing. I mean, you told a joke, and it was your best joke yet.
Yeah.
If you were gonna ever bomb, that was the time.
Nobody, it's like Apollo. Nobody could boo me. I was a little kid.
The bless his heart.
Yeah, bless his heart. Yeah,
bless his heart. So, that's hilarious.
Man, all that was like truly from the heart, man. Like I woke up that morning. I hadn't written it yet. Remember, me and you were walking around the block, and you were just like, just make some bullet points and speak from the heart. And I woke up that morning just kind of talking with Jennica, trying to kind of telling her basically that what I promised. And I was like, I promise I'll take care of the kids. I promise, just like I said in the speech, it's like, I promise I won't go back in my shell. I promise that I'll stay out. I promise I'll keep the house like you would want it and everything. And, I just kind of felt her being Jennica, just say it with your chest. But, she was
did she say last nigga after that too?
I think behind it, like, and she was like, tell all of them. And so that's how I ended up with that, man. And, it came out great. And, I stumbled right at the front. A tear kind of came and had to kind of get my composure. But after that, it really was just kind of me making my promises to her. And I know I was talking with everybody or everybody in front of me, but really it was just me and her. Like, that's kind of how I pictured it. And that's, I guess, why I could be so strong at that point, because it really was me just saying, this is my wife, this is how she is, and making my promises to her going forward. So that's what I wanted to do for the whole celebration, man. I wanted it to be her. She never wanted this like super sad occasion or anything. And so what we did, for all the listeners who weren't there, we will maybe be able to get some pictures. I think some folks took some pictures on the inside, but we took mannequins and we put a lot of the clothes that she had made on mannequins. All my sisters, her sisters, our close friends wore things that she had created. It was truly an event to celebrate her. It wasn't about her life, not just her passing. And she wanted people to be uplifted. And that's what we did, man. We just uplifted the people who came and said, celebrate her life. Don't just mourn her death. And that's how we did it, man.
It was a full blown fashion show. I mean, people were in there with their faux furs.
Yeah.
False furs. Like it was
fur busted out the Jay-Z double breasted. So
I do what I do. Jennica never made me a custom suit, so I had to bust my own custom suit out there. So I think she would have been proud of me. Yeah. She would have said, "Ferg Daddy killing him." So I had to do what I do. But no, I mean, it was a beautiful, I'll say, ceremony, man. And the way the family came together, the way friends came together, the way you put it all together in such a short period of time. I'm officially afraid of Gigi now.
Man, Gigi, like made this thing happen, man. Her, and shout out to Miosha. I appreciate everything that you did as well between those two, man. I couldn't have done it without them.
Yeah, bro. And for people that don't know Gigi's like 2'3". She's just a little ball of fury, just so small and angry, and just takes charge. Gigi, like, but she handled it. I was calling her throughout the week, and when I heard her snap back at Mama, I was like, oh, there's a new sheriff in town.
Yeah,
and I'm apologizing, like, Gigi, I ain't mean to. She's like, I got this, and I was done. So, man. But Razi, we're gonna let you kick it off, man. Let you start with your question.
I actually had a couple, and
okay, well,
that I wanted to talk through. So, the first one is I want to talk in the Black community and cremation, because I cremated my wife. And of course, that was a big, long, drawn out discussion with my mom, her mom, family, everything. I think her family still hates me for it, but it's what she wanted. We had talked about it. And the thing about it is we did it. So I wanted to hear you guys' thoughts on it, about cremation, what it is, and then I'll kind of come back to why I decided to do it.
Well, first off, I thought you had a good compromise because we still had the service, and she's, you're honoring her wishes by having her cremated as well. So I thought that was a good compromise.
So that whole cremation is cheaper thing went way out of the window.
You got to pay for both, huh?
Yeah.
So I was never a fan of cremation growing up. I don't know. I don't know, in some kind of weird way, it just feels like when you cremate somebody, it's like you care less, I guess, when I was growing up. But, when you get older and some sense about you, it doesn't matter that, like, they're gone. Like death is death. They're gone. So whether they're 6 feet under or in an urn, they're gone. So I remember when my dad passed, me living up here and him being in Mobile, I had people that were trying to handle things for me, but they were also, and I'm speaking as delicately as I can because I don't know if they listen, but they were also spending the money, but the money was coming out of my pocket.
Exactly. So, spending my money.
So they picking out all these different things, but they not spending none of the money.
Oh, they make platinum caskets now? Yeah. Oh, let me get 2 of those.
What's the newest limo you got?
Yeah.
Because we need that.
Oh, Tesla make a limo that drive itself? Oh, they got a new hearse that put the body in the ground itself? Yeah.
So believe you me, Pops was about to be cremated. I let go of all that. If you cremate somebody, you care less. But luckily, I had an aunt that stepped in, his sister, and she split the cost with me, and we went on ahead and had the service. And that you two guys came to, which I to this day I appreciate you guys for.
Of course, that's what we're here for.
So yeah, man, that's pretty much all I got. I don't know why. I don't even know how that idea got in my head that cremating someone is less. But is that a Black thing? Like for you to ask that question, you must feel like that's a Black thing that occurs.
I think it's a Black taboo. Yeah, because I think the Black funeral in itself holds a place in the Black community or the lexicon of like that we know what a Black funeral is. Like there's a
you need a casket for mom and them to
yeah, like
they take me with.
They make movies off of Black funerals. You know what I'm saying? So it's a whole thing. It can be a production. So it's almost like that final goodbye, that final way to show how much you care to the world. Not saying all the time, but it can be. And so I think sometimes just like, because maybe we don't know any better, we haven't been taught not even better. I'm not going to say it's better. We don't know anything different. So we know what we know. Just like a lot of times Black person gets out of the hood or makes something on themselves, the first thing they got to do is go buy a new car and they got to show it. I think that Black funeral is us showing it. The fact that we've all seen or experienced people raising money for funerals that don't have it when there's a cheaper alternative. And I don't want to make it all about the money, but I think it's the reason I'm talking about the money is I think it's because it's ingrained in us. This is how we're supposed to do it. You said your mama and her mom said something. I'm pretty sure they found a Bible verse in there somewhere to try to make it a biblical, rationale why we do this. And it's like, nah, I mean, we just do it because that's what we've been taught. If you look across the world, there's so many different burial rituals or death rituals, but we have our way. Somebody got to do a cannonball into the casket. Take me. I wasn't ready. Junebug found Jesus at the age of 3. Like all these different things, but it's part of the Black funeral experience. I'm all for doing what how that person wants to be remembered, especially if they plan for it financially.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys plan for it financially. So either way, you can, if Jennica's wish was to have an elaborate funeral, you probably wouldn't have did that, but you still would have had, the burial and all that stuff. But if this is what she wants, and the fact that, cremation can be more permanent. You guys were able to cremate your wife. You have a nice memento or a keepsake that you can honor her with in your house moving forward. You put them in the ground, you got to go to grave site and all that stuff. And I don't know how much people go to grave sites or whatever the case may be, but there's a benefit to all of it. It's just what that person wishes, if they ever get those wishes out, and how you want to remember them. My question for you is, what if you guys never had that conversation? Would you still have cremated?
Probably not.
Okay.
It's one of those things that if I didn't know what she wanted, I would have probably gone the traditional route, right? Because at that point, that's the automatic assumption is you do the traditional Black funeral, right? But we had that conversation, and that's one thing that I'm going to throw out there to anybody, because you don't know when it's going to happen, is to plan for it, and have those conversations with your spouse about what you really want. Because we sat and we had those conversations mainly because we traveled so much, and we were like, it's funny. We would record videos before we went on vacations about like who gets the kids and stuff like that, and like send it to our family, because we're like, we don't know. So we had conversations about just in case when we were going to Hawaii, just in case the plane goes down or something like that, what would happen. And so we knew, and going to other people's funerals, watching movies and stuff like that, we would just be like, I don't want that. I want this. I want that. And everything. And so how we got to the conversation about cremation was that Jennica, I can't remember what movie we were watching, but they were going to the grave site and things. And if anybody knows Jennica was a hippie. Jennica was not. She was like a super Rolling Stone. She was like, I can get up and move at any given moment, and I can move complete cities.
You called her a homeless bomb once.
Exactly. Yeah, and she was good with that, right? Like, that's what I mean. She was definitely a hippie, and she said, I don't want to be locked down to a single spot that people feel like they need to come to talk to me and see me. Just like you just said, you don't know how often people really come to a grave site. She was like, I don't want them to feel like they need to. She was like, I am here with them. They can talk to me anytime they want. My spirit is here. She was very much God-fearing. She feels like she's in heaven. We're looking down, and she can talk with anybody, and anybody can talk with her at any time. So
she ain't had no jokes. I'm pretty sure Jennica, and I want you to put me right there in case you bring another chick in the house. I want her to see me.
That's what I was
right there.
What?
That sounds like Jennica.
Actually, yeah, she did. She did. That was the other part about it. She was like,
that sounded like the Jennica I know.
She pointed at the mantle over the fireplace, and she like, and I'm gonna be right there. That's where I want to be, so I can be in my house with my children, just in case something happens. So what we did is we ended up getting like lockets that you can put some of the remains in for all her family members and everything, so they would have kind of a keepsake and something that they could keep with them as well. So they'll have that. But yeah, the urn, the remains, and everything else is going to be right here, so that the kids can say their affirmations, and they can say, "Hey, mom," and everything every morning if they feel like it. You know what I mean? And know that she's right there, or at least her body is right there, but her spirit's with me at all times, everywhere. And so that's kind of why she went with cremation. Not to mention, we're ecologically friendly, and so she was like, humans in general, we just take Earth and be like, hey, we're gonna carve this little piece out for our dead people, and now nobody else can use this ever again or in the near future, just because I want to maintain this little bit of real estate, for the rest of the foreseeable future. She disagreed with that. She was like, that makes no sense. We need more and more space and more land as we take over the earth and we grow and everything like that. So she was like, no, I don't want any of that. So
I never thought of that.
Yeah, like once we had that full blown conversation, it was no doubt in my mind what we were gonna do. Like my mom, her mom, friends, whoever that questioned it, that was one that I shrugged my shoulders and be like, oh, it's happening. You know what I mean? Because after that conversation and seeing how adamant she was about it, I was like, there's no way that I wouldn't follow through on my wife's wishes when, she's so adamant about it. So that's how we ended up with it. But yeah, it's a fight. And I really think it needs to be a discussion had in the Black community. Like Ferg, like you said, I had the resources to give her a full blown funeral and the cremation. Everybody doesn't have that. And to say I'm going to spend $10,000, $15,000 on a funeral when we're doing GoFundMe's to do that, when you can cremate and have a memorial service for, $3,000-$4,000, that's a huge difference, especially for somebody that doesn't have it. So having that conversation and understanding the differences and I guess bucking the tradition is hard, but that was Jennica in general, was that she bucked the tradition. Like that's why she didn't want to have the sad wear black to my funeral, funeral. She wanted something that was more upbeat, uplifting, and everything like that, down to the music. Ferg, you talked about a production, bruh, like planning a funeral or a homegoing service or celebration of life, whatever you want to call it, is a production if you're really thinking about the people that are coming and that person. Down to selecting the songs that are going to be in the solos and those types of things. I mean, it was that serious when I was like, we probably listened to 20, 30 songs. And the songs that we selected, I literally cried when they came on. That's how serious it was for me, man. Like, it still hits me now. Like, I can feel those songs down in my bones, man. And so knowing that she loved them, they spoke to us and her situation and everything else, it is a production, and it is creating a production because you do want to celebrate that person and send them out in the best fashion that you think you can. So it's a long, arduous journey, man. But I just wanted to do the best for her, and compartmentalize that and worry about myself after. And so that's what I did, and that's why today, I talked about going to grief counseling. Me and the kids, we went to grief counseling today because I was like, that my time is next week. I'll figure that out next week. But this week is about my wife and about celebrating her. And so I'll grieve later. And it was hard because it was times that I broke down and I couldn't do it anymore. But again, Gigi, Miosha, my parents, were there. Y'all, when y'all showed up, man, it just lightened my heart to know y'all were here. And, the Friday night before the ceremony, just everybody at the house, and it might have, some people might have thought it was like disrespectful because there was so much laughter and joy and everything, but people remembering Jennica. They were laughing about like her and what she would do and what she talk about, and that made it just a little bit easier, man. And so, folks, if you're going through, surround yourself with people, surround yourself with loved ones, because it makes a huge difference. Like I talked about, don't go in that cocoon, don't go back in your shell. Don't do that, man, and get out there, let people in, let people help you, let people support you, because I couldn't have made it without all y'all. I promise I couldn't.
You mentioned,
we were there for you too.
You mentioned that she wanted to be on that fireplace mantle so she could watch you. Did she hear that episode when I said Tabitha doesn't have my permission to move on?
Yeah.
So did she give you permission? Do you have permission eventually one day?
No, I don't.
That's my girl, yo.
I don't. So,
oh, that's messed up, man.
I was gonna say
Byron, you and your quotes, man.
Well, y'all mentioned how Gigi is for the ladies that do try to eventually shoot their shot. Just know you have a gauntlet of sisters from Pooh to Gigi to Gina to Tootie. Like, you have a gauntlet before you get to this brother right here. So
it's gonna be
they gonna have to have like they A++ game before they get through, man. Because I'm telling you, man, they are ready.
Yeah.
Man, it's gonna be so difficult though, because like and truthfully, you guys remember in the episode we talked about remarrying, and I was quick to be like, no, I'm not remarrying. And I talked about how it's hard. Marriage is hard in general, but now looking back, it's like I don't know if there'll be a point where I could give anybody even a fair shot.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like every girl that would shoot their shot, if they got in my DMs, it's comparing them to Jennica, and I don't know if I'd ever give them a shot to be like, yeah, you measure up. So that's going to be the hard part.
The other thing I wanted to say to you too before we move forward, in a lot of your explanations, you're like, I know it may have seemed disrespectful because we were doing this, or it may not have seemed right because I did that. Dog, let me just tell you this one good time. You don't owe nobody not one decimal point worth of explanation, brother. Okay, because the way you love that woman and the way you put that together and honored her, nobody can say to you. I'm telling you that right now. So you don't have to explain nothing. Like laughing at the house that Friday, I wish I would hear somebody say, man, he disrespecting her in my presence.
You know what I said? I just said anybody that gives you problems, send it to me. I was ready for that smoke all weekend.
Yeah.
You know like, Sherman was.
Sherman definitely was.
But no, I mean, it's not one of those things that I want to apologize for it. I think what it really comes down to is there are people who may be listening to this outside looking in that may think that. You know what I mean? And so I'm just saying, if they did think that, it's here's what it really is, you know, and because everybody doesn't grieve the same, and everybody isn't going to break down and jump in the casket. Our pastor, he was coming and he's been counseling me through this. And one of the things he said is like,
stick with him.
Yeah.
Stay close to that brother.
Yeah. That's my homie now. Like, yeah, so he came over and he was just like, look, you're going to grieve different ways at different times. Like you might be walking, like earlier today, I was walking in Target and I just broke down, man, started like, tears just flooded my eyes while I was walking through Target. And he's like, you're going to be doing mundane things and it's going to hit you and you're going to cry. And then he said, and then other times you might do something and it reminds you of something about her that you loved and y'all laughed about and you might laugh. And he's like, and both of those are okay. He's like, you have to remember her for the good times and that you're missing her. And that's how you're going to get past it. So, and that's how I'm kind of living. And that's how I'm navigating, where I could be sitting here talking to y'all just like I teared up just a second ago. I don't know if the listeners could notice it, but I could be talking to y'all having a regular conversation. And then it's just something that I'm saying just just touches me or hits me, man. And that's where I'm at now. So luckily my job, man, they're being understanding. They're letting me get as much time as I need. They're like, take as much time as you need. Don't worry. Don't rush back. And now with the coronavirus going on, everybody's working from home anyway. So I think I'm a little bit better because I can answer emails. Like, I can do that part. And that's the other thing is text messages helped because I can compose myself to answer. It's a lot easier than trying to talk to somebody and try to get it out. And so, I love the text messages. So anybody who called me and I didn't answer, but then you text me and I text back, that's probably why. It was like I couldn't talk, but I could text you back. Like I could chat. So just kind of explaining where my head is and where it was and everything. I mean, it's still difficult, man. Every day is just it's just one day at a time.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's still brand new. Like to be able to do the things that you're doing at the level you're doing it, I mean, is more than commendable. So you don't, like Byron said, you don't got to explain to anybody. You don't have to say, hey, dude, you're doing awesome.
Yeah.
I can't stress that enough. You had another question for us, or where did you want to go next?
Yeah, I mean, I guess this is one for mainly you two because I'm going through it now and, I had a plan, but I wanted to ask you guys, are you guys prepared financially if something happens? Because I know you guys are in two different scenarios. I was in a third. Jennica didn't work, right? She was in school, but she didn't work. So she wasn't a breadwinner at all. She wasn't bringing money in. So I didn't have to replace income with her passing. But I know both of you do, certain different levels. So are you guys prepared for that? Sharing your plans or whatever, and then I was gonna share kind of what I had in place and no numbers, definitely not throwing numbers out there, but just like, are you guys, what do you have, that type of thing?
Yes and no for me. Yes, in a sense that let me start with me. If something happens to me, well, I'll do both. If something happens to either one of us, we're not gonna have we're not gonna have to go on GoFundMe or ask for any money like that. But will the person that survived with their lifestyle change? I can't 100% say for sure. I need to look at all the numbers again. But like as far as like keeping this house we have, our cars, and just how we are able to have extra money to go on trips and stuff like that, that may change. Like I said, I need to double check that. So yes, for sure, a service can be taken care of and bills can get paid up to a certain point. But I think I said on a previous episode, on one of our earliest episodes, that in addition to the life insurance I have at my job, I need to go ahead and stop dragging my feet and get additional life insurance, because I do want to make sure it's at the point to where I love what you said at Jennica's service. You was like, I'm going to keep the house. I want them to grow up in that home. And I want her to have that option that, hey, I don't want to change things for Jasmine. This is the house she's grown to know and love. So I want to keep it that way. I want to keep it to where she can afford college, get her first car and stuff like that. So now that you asked that question, it definitely reminds me of some of my procrastination and how I need to get that extra life insurance. And I need to double check hers because I'm almost certain she has life insurance, but I know like my amount for me. I couldn't tell you her amount. So those are things I need to know. So long story short, I'm not as prepared as I would like to be, but I am prepared to the point to where I won't have to sell fish plates.
All right. We're good, actually. We're probably better than good. Zia make out like a bandit if something happened to me. So she's really good. And we actually, I'm a planner and I overanalyze things. So of course, I mean, this situation had us talking. I mean, we had a nice little drive from Atlanta to Birmingham. And I think we had that conversation on the way. Financially, we're good. There's definitely a different gap, similar to you. being the primary breadwinner or the breadwinner in our family, you know, something happening to her, you know, today wouldn't affect me as much financially, but it's long term, you know, her not working right now. It's a short term thing and it'll happen whenever we see fit for her to go back into the workforce. But long term, you know, still that mortgage and stuff like that. So we definitely have enough to pay off all our debt and still be able to put some aside for the kids and stuff like that, because I would still expect to work and continue doing what I do, bring in the majority of the lion's share of our income. On the other hand, if something happens to me, of course she has the money to pay off all our debt, and she still be sitting really pretty for several years, you know, to the point where, and we just didn't talk about that. We started talking about what we would do financially. Like, hey, I would need you to pay this off, this off, invest, put this amount aside, invest this so you can live off the interest of that for foreseeable future. You know, you invest a couple $100,000 in the right thing, you know, and you can live off that, the interest off that. But yeah, she's good. What it actually made me think of, what you were saying earlier, if something happened to the both of us, you know, the finances is one thing, but how do you cope with that? Like, how do you, hey, something happens to us, who takes our kids?
Mm-hmm.
You know, plan A, plan B, the benefits of both. How do you set that up? You know, that trust, because if something happened to both of us, that beneficiary will be sitting really pretty and just making sure they don't take, you know, that money and all of a sudden they go buy a house in freaking Italy somewhere and my kids are sitting there starving and not getting education. That's something, and what the future will look like without us, and not even just financially for the kids, like who are people that we still want in their lives. You know, hey, you need to make sure you stay in touch with your godparents. You know, you need to make sure you do this. You need to make sure you do that. You know, hey, even if something happens to just one of us, hey, make sure you take the kids to see my mom or my family once a year. You know, without me, you know, Z just driving a Mobile randomly is really, there's no other reason for her to go to Mobile besides to see my family. But like, hey, I still need to do that. You know, Those are things you got to start talking about. Like, hey, when I'm not here, what are the things I want you to carry on? Because the finances, Byron, you can go get with a insurance salesman or financial planner tomorrow, and by the end of this next week, you have all that taken care of. But there's so many other things that still need to probably happen or plan for financially, you know, mentally, emotionally, you know, what you would like to see your legacy be and what you would like to see the direction of your family in case something happens to you. That's the tough conversation we're starting to have. So
as of right now, you guys do or don't have a bit of like someone that the kids go to if something happens to both of you guys?
Yes, but we have to finalize it.
Okay.
We have to finalize it again, because it's one of those things you talk about, you know, like, yeah, if something happens, you know, and probably similar to Razi, like Razi and Jenn were at the top of that list, you know, just being honest, like, does that list change now? You know,
right.
That's,
I'm a single parent now.
Yeah, that's too much. You know,
2 more kids on top of that.
You can't do that now. You know, those are things you look at. You know, the older you get, you know, it's easy to say your parents, but the older you get, the older they get.
Exactly.
You know, I'm thinking probably off the top of my head is one of my siblings, most likely my sister. But you know, that's, as of now, that's who I think we decided on that. I'm hoping she still likes us enough to do that, but who knows? It's tough because it's easy to say, yeah, I'll be that person, or you take that responsibility. But when one thing I've learned about life, it has a way of showing you that you're living it, you know, that you're a part of this thing called life. And so those things that you don't plan for tend to happen. did you really plan appropriately? Like, yeah, if something happens, this person's going to take care of my kids. Are they really? It was great to say in theory, but are they really mentally, emotionally, financially prepared to take care of your kids?
Yeah. Or even get a windfall of, like you said, you have plenty of insurance. So that person's about to get, however much, hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash. Is that person financially stable or financially aware enough to even get that type of money and not blow it in 2-3 years?
Yeah.
So that's the other part. They may be great parents, or, they may be able to raise the child, but at the same time, they may not be responsible enough to get that money and keep the money.
Yeah. That's when trust and all that stuff comes in. And I'm not talking about like trusting somebody. I'm like an actual trust, you know, creating those things. So that's one of the things we talked about a few episodes ago. One of the things I want to do, and I was actually talking about the week before last, is I definitely want to get licensed to sell insurance, just because of things like this. I think so many times we don't realize in our community that things happen, and you're talking about cremation. We talk about things that are taboo. We don't talk about death. We don't talk about planning, and that stuff happens. We've all experienced or seen somebody have to GoFundMe. And at the same time, we're not just talking about GoFundMe. And I know, Razi, we kind of debate about this sometimes, but hey, just being able to pay an extra $25 a month to have life insurance on all your parents or the elders of your family, to the point when that day's going to come, most likely they're probably going to leave before us, just statistically speaking, probability wise. What kind of legacy are they leaving? I had this conversation with my dad about a month ago, and he was always talking about all the stuff he wants to do and how he wants to make it big. I'm like, hey, I think the best thing you can do to leave a legacy for your kids is get a life insurance plan and make sure you cover yourself. But hey, allow us to sign off on I'll pay my money to get a life insurance plan on you. And so when that day comes, that's money you can say, well, my kids don't have to worry about college because we were able to get a life insurance plan on their dad, their grandfather, who helped pay for college. Those are things that we need to do or look into, or help make college bearable. Even if it's $10,000 per kid, that's $10,000 we can put in a 529 today, and know that, hey, by the time they graduate high school, that's going to mature enough to help with college, and we're in a better spot than we would have been without it. So,
yep. That's it, man. Like, and truly, Fark, I know we debate about insurance, but never, ever, ever would I debate or question life insurance and the need for it, and how much, and what usually I'm debating is more so people that want to use it as an investment vehicle to try to grow money. Mm-hmm. That's not what insurance is for. Mm-hmm. But as far as like definitely covering costs, covering, wealth transferring money that you already have to somebody, tax-free. Awesome for that. So insurance definitely has its places, and you need to have somebody that knows those places. So definitely go talk to somebody about it. I mean, I'd never, ever question the need for it.
Yeah. That's what we would say.
I was going to say, so when I get ready to go get that extra, do I have to do it for each individual person like Jasmine and Tabitha, or can I go to a MetLife and say I want coverage for both together and just pay one amount?
Most policies have a child rider on them. Mm-hmm. So unless you want to just do like $100,000 policy for Jasmine, most policies come with like a $10,000 or $15,000 child rider automatically on it when you do yours. So they're covered basically enough to bury them. Yeah. Because the thing about it is, losing a child, you're not trying to replace income. You're not trying to do that. Like, nothing changes. There's no reason for you to need a bunch of money after they're gone. Versus, your, like I said, your spouse, who you're trying to replace their income and try to keep that same lifestyle with your kids. So, you probably the child rider is enough for that part of it to make sure Jasmine's good. And then you just need to really back into, like you talked about, what do we really want this money to do, so we can figure out how much we actually need, and get that. Like, mine was pretty simple because I had the military and my job, and they offered it. And again, we weren't trying to replace income on Jennica. So, I maxed those out, and that's why I'm able to, put the scholarship. I'm able to do the things that Jennica has talked about wanting to do in her lifetime. I'm able to do them like right now because of that. So with the scholarship, she always talked about she wanted to do a scholarship at UA because, it's the most expensive major at the University of Alabama. People don't know that. Because not only do you, it's the exact same cost for the hours. But the problem is that doesn't include all the extra fabric and everything else that you're trying to buy. So people that are going into that major, they're paying regular tuition like everybody else, but they're coming out of pocket another $2,000 or $3,000 every semester just in fabrics and notions and all that stuff so that they can make the stuff that's required in that major. So to be able to give somebody an extra $1,000 a semester or an extra, $500 a semester is big for those folks. And so that's really why we're trying to set the scholarship up, to be able to let somebody be able to follow their passion and follow their dream, where because everybody didn't have, a 8-year-old older husband that was, financially stable enough to cover those extra costs that fabric and all that stuff through the semester. So that's why we're setting it up. We hopefully, that'll be in by the fall. I don't know if they'll actually be able to award it in the fall, but I spoke with them on yesterday. I can't remember when I told y'all I did it.
Yesterday.
Yeah. The days have like just mashed together. I don't even know what day it is today. Like, truthfully, but I spoke with them and we're getting all that together. And so I appreciate everybody that's doing the PayPal and everything. Really, I set that up just for the people who might have gone and bought flowers and everything like that. And I appreciate everything that you guys have sent. But what we want is to actually have it at the school, set up on the school website. So when you give to it, you can get your tax deduction if you need it. You'll get the letter from the school saying that you gave it to the scholarship and everything like that. So that's coming. By all means, if you want to just continue to PayPal it to us, I appreciate it, and we'll take it, and we're just going to add that onto the endowment. But that's what's going to be coming eventually, and we're going to definitely be sharing that because I want you guys to know that we did actually use this money for the scholarship, and so we'll be letting you guys know exactly what comes out of that. Yeah, but to answer my question about the insurance, I don't think I did. But yes, we were kind of set up, and I guess this whole episode is kind of dedicated to how in depth we talked about and prepared for this, because we had those conversations and we had those tough conversations. So again, just like Ferg and Byron said, guys, go out, have those conversations with your spouse, with your family, especially if you have a spouse, have it with your family too, so that everybody knows. Because if you have that conversation just with your spouse, then your spouse has to have that conversation with the family. And that makes it way more difficult than if you just had that conversation with them. So let them know what you want, everybody know. And like Ferg said, that comes down to who's getting the kids and who you want to have the kids and everything else. Because all of that makes a difference. And that's just one less fight. That's a little bit less stress on that surviving spouse or that surviving parent. And so if you're not in a relationship and you don't have a spouse, make sure your family and your somebody knows that can actually take care of those things. And that's going to kind of have the gumption to stand up to people when they try to question it and want to do their own thing. Because that's the hard part, especially if you don't have a spouse. Say you want your sister or your brother to kind of take care of that. But your parents may be totally against cremation, but everybody, even if you had that conversation and everybody knows you want to be cremated, you want to make sure that you have somebody that's going to follow through on your wishes, even with the pressure that might come from everybody, the traditionalists and all of that. So it's a lot, man, that goes into it, but I just want you guys to be prepared. and be able to get through it like I did. And my final note on it is, be ready to get counseling, man, because it's a long road, and like it's been a week for me. It feels like years already. So I can only imagine what the next 2 to 3 weeks are going to be. Just driving Ollie to school this morning and him just saying, "I miss mommy." Man, that broke me up. Like, every time it breaks me up. Every time he says it, or "I want to see mommy. Can we go see mommy?" Have pictures. If you're not a big picture taker, take pictures, man. Like, I used to scoff and roll my eyes every time Jennica made us do a photo shoot, but do that, man.
You hear this, Tabitha?
Yeah. So, is she the one that rolls her eyes?
Yes.
Yeah. No,
I gotta do better at that, man. Z gets on me every time. It's not even just photo shoots; it's just random pictures. It's just like, stop. Like, I'm. And what's crazy for me is the me I want to be likes pictures. The real me, I don't got time for that. Like, man, let's just enjoy the moment. Why do we have to, like, we're here, let's do it. Why do we have to stop what we're doing and enjoying the moment to capture the moment? And it feels forced. But I will say that was one of the beautiful things about the ceremony and just the weekend. You saw the love and the life and that energy in the pictures you guys took. It was just so many different pictures with so many different people, your goofy ones. It captured Jennica. Even the photo shoot we did at not photo shoot, but the shots we took at the live show. Jennica was being Jennica. Her attitude and stuff like that, or her personality was shining through those pictures. And so that's one thing. You're right. We got to capture those moments, and I have to do a better job myself. So hopefully Z doesn't listen to this episode, so she won't hold my feet to the fire. Because next time she takes a picture, I'm gonna frown up. I'm already frowning up in my mind, thinking about how this is gonna come back and bite me in the ass.
Yeah. Now, if you look at most of those pictures, I'm probably frowned up in most of them. But Jenica's just being Jennica, right? And that's
even her mom said that.
Yeah, it's man, being able to go back and look at them though. I mean, I love Google Photos for that, because Google Photos will put them in an album for you. So I can just click, Jenica's pictures, and I get every last picture that I've ever had of her, and I just scroll through them, man. So definitely take as many pictures as you can. Don't waste the time. Don't get caught up in work and everything else. I mean, enjoy the time while you can, man. Like, she made me do that, because I would have been the one that never took a vacation. So every time you guys saw us going anywhere, it was probably her that planned it and pushed it and was like, "You're going to take vacation. I already booked it, so either the money's going to be gone or you're going to waste it." And I don't like to waste money.
Yeah, you ain't about to do that.
So I guess I'm going on vacation then, because it's spent. Yeah. So, but do that, man, because, you don't know. Every day is precious. So
for those of you who don't know the dynamic of the relationship, Ferg and Razi are like super close. Like, I'm close to Razi, but they're super close. So therefore, their wives were very close, and Sabrina and Jennica. So I say that to say the people that were like hitting me up, or the comments I saw on your page, Razi, where they were like, "I didn't know her, but I felt like I did," or the people that commented on Three Brothers No Sense page and said, similar things. I felt like I knew her. I'm right there with you, because like I told Razi, while I was in Birmingham, I really only met Jennica 5 times. It's like 5 times. And most of those times, she was kind of huddled up with Sabrina or with you and the kids and stuff. But when we did that live episode, which I went back and listened to, just to hear her and stuff, man, which is a very funny episode, by the way. That's when I really got to know her alumni weekend. That was like the most time I spent with her. So when people say, just hearing Razi talk about her on the podcast made me feel like I knew her, I relate 100% because I learned so much about her just doing this with you. The very first episode we did, the first 10 minutes, dog, you mentioned how she saved your life. I had no idea about that until you said it on that episode. So I just want to tell the listeners, man, Buff is right there with you. Listening to this podcast, I felt like I knew Jennica. So when Ferg gave me that call, that's why I broke down like I did at work, man, because it was like I lost a sister.
Yeah, man.
And not to, I mean, this show is for her. The show is for you. So I'm just going to speak my piece. You know, when you call me, dude, I don't even want to go into that conversation. To see you hold the way you've held, man, I'm so happy and so proud of you. And I feel like Jennica came in your life for a reason. She saved your life.
Yeah.
And you've said it 1,000 times, and we've all said it. And people that even know you, that's the first thing they said. And I think the her coming into your life and even being able to, you always hear people say, give people their roses while they're alive or while they're here. The fact that so many people who never met you, never met your wife, got to understand and feel and hear the love that you had for this woman through this is very rare. A lot of times people can go back and just talk about like, well, I loved her, I did this, but you never really showed it. You never really expressed it. You didn't give them that love. They can tell that it was genuine. So if for nothing else, this podcast will forever memorialize the love that you give me a second, that you showed for your wife, and something that, you know, your kids, my God kids, if they ever wanted to truly understand how their father feels or felt about their mother, you know, there's no lie in it. You know, they saw you in your goofiness. They saw you in getting in trouble. They saw you be truly who you were and who you guys are. And I say are because she's still part of you. And that's the thing of beauty, man. So if we never record another episode, man, for the fact that you got to express your love for your wife while she was here and got to hear it, man, that's all I needed. That's all I will forever be grateful for this podcast and this time I've had with you guys for that reason alone. So man, it was a thing of beauty. I don't have much more to say about that, man. I wanted to keep it as upbeat as possible, but to hell with all that. You know, you're my brother. You know, everybody that knows, like I said, I have people calling me every day, checking up on me and asking about you. And she was loved. You are loved. So if you take anything from this, you know, you were saying people might question or think you were or things that happened over the week. People were there to honor Jennica, but people were there to support you because they knew how much she meant to you. And I sleep a little easier. I couldn't sleep last week. I couldn't sleep. And I'm not trying to make this about me, but I couldn't sleep because I knew what she meant to you. And my biggest fear was, I don't know if he's going to make it through. And seeing you this week, seeing you today, talking to you over the last few days, I know it's going to be tough, but I know for a fact you're going to be okay. You're going to be better than okay. Just being around the people that have your back 24/7. People were scheduling visits. People were scheduling everything. I mean, hell, nobody might be there this weekend because of coronavirus, but that's only because of coronavirus.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
you know,
they cancel out soccer practice, man.
Yeah. You know, I'm like, man, I can't do this because I got soccer practice. Dog, you ain't never played soccer a day in your life. How did you become a soccer coach?
Man, you do things when your kids want a soccer coach. So he wanted to play soccer. They needed coaches. That's kind of how it works, man.
Did you read Soccer for Dummies or?
No, they had a little like handbook that tells you the rules, and they tell you like they actually break down each practice of like all the drills you run each practice. So you know it's U5. It's basically let them kick the ball around and don't like kill each other. That's pretty much how practice goes. So, you know,
so when you said that, I thought about how in movies they do like a cutaway. So you want to be a soccer coach, and then they do this cut screen, and that's what I'm thinking. It was just like one of those episodes where you just got these little random white kids running around with you with your. So you want to be a soccer coach, hands on your hip.
What I will tell you though is when I signed up, I went and watched Will Ferrell's Kicking and Screaming.
Okay.
And I was like, that's the kind of coach I'm gonna be. I'm getting me like a big coffee pot right next to the
he's one of my favorite actors, as a matter of fact. Will Ferrell is pure comedy. He has no chill. Like he's not scared to take it too far.
Mm-hmm.
So he's one of my I love all his movies. So Will Ferrell is my dude.
Are they funnier than Harlem Nights?
So yes, you have to tell people your revelation.
Oh, yes. That was one of the other things I spoke about at the funeral. Jennica did get on to me about how Harlem Nights is better than life. And she was like, no arguing. That's it. And she walked away. Literally, she walked away after. She was like, you're wrong. Girl, man.
Yeah. I was like, I didn't want to tell you wrong because it's an opinion, but you definitely were wrong. Like,
it's on Netflix. It's on Netflix. I'm gonna go back and watch Harlem Nights just in case.
Dude, I mean,
yeah, man, it's hilarious, man.
Dude, watch it. And I'm telling you, now that you're older, you'll appreciate it that much more. The comedy that ensues.
I watched it like 5-6 months ago. Like, okay. I know how funny it is. I'm just saying.
Sunshine, just the Sunshine dynamics.
Yeah, Red Fox in it, man. Like,
put your mom on the phone. Put your mom on the phone.
Left a swallow
I ain't come home no more.
Fridge.
Yeah.
So, I just want to say that I got a chance to meet the smart mother bleeper that was on our episode. Brandon, he flew in from Kansas, I believe it was.
Yeah, Kansas.
Also, Razi didn't just have me and Ferg. So Ferg came from Texas. I came from DC. You know, Sherman and Erica drove up from Jacksonville. We had people from Atlanta, Mobile. We had one girl that drove from Biloxi to Mobile up to Birmingham because she had to pick
and drove back the same day.
Yeah, exactly. And drove back the same day. Stickman, I didn't even know he was coming. So all of that was cool, man. And I also want to let the listeners know that every time we record the show, after we finish recording, we'll do some comments afterwards. And I'll be like, hey, Razi, I love you, man. And he'll be like, yeah, all right, man. I'll talk to you later. I want the listeners to know this past weekend, I got Razi to say I love you too. So I broke through, man. He said that shit.
Yeah, man.
It's like the end of Bad Boys.
Yeah, man. It was a good turnout, man. I want to shout out to the bros. We had KD chicken, I guess, some KD chicken. Right. It was pretty good,
It's the best chicken in the frat.
The parts that are cooked.
Oh,
wow.
But no, it was a good time, man. The bros came through, man. My hat's off. That's what the bros are about. It's about the friendship. You had so many people, your Line Brothers, your Neos, your Pro Fights, just bros throughout the city just come through. They even had a separate event at the frat house Saturday that I don't even think we got to make it to. Mm-hmm. But they understood, they were there. Hats off to BBVA Compass, man. When I say your coworkers came through and showed out, like it wasn't just one or two, it might have been 10 people there. And it didn't seem like it was that traditional, we're just paying our respect. It was more like, we're here for you. We feel for you. We know you. We love you. And whatever you need, we got you. I got that true sense from them. And it just lets you know that you're loved. You have a community behind you. And also I think that, you married a beautiful woman to the point where people can sense energy. They can sense the BS, and they could tell there was no BS around there. And they felt like, hey, if anybody needs us, it's him, So had a blast for what it was that weekend. I mean, to be in the situation it was just being around so many good people who were all there for a common cause and for a great cause at that. So, I'm gonna let you close us out today. Do you even remember the 6 rules of podcast? You gonna close us out with that too, Razi?
Nope.
He most definitely don't remember that.
I'm gonna try. We'll see. No, I don't remember. I was like,
Okay.
yeah, no. But
Like, love, light.
Make sure they know the email for the PayPal for the memorial fund too.
Yeah. So again, just like I opened with, thank you for that's exactly what I was going to talk about. The bros, thank you. My job, BBVA, definitely. I've been with them 19 years, but I feel like if I had been there just a year, they would have treated me just the same. That's the type of company it is. That's the type of coworkers I have. So I appreciate you guys. I know a good number of you guys listen that's in my department. So really appreciate you. Definitely all the bros that came through, all the uplift, the love that I got, the text, the group me chats, like bros, when it went out so fast. I mean, I was getting calls within 2 hours from bros that were all the way in like California, DC, Charlotte. Like it was crazy how fast it moved and how fast the bros moved and swooped in to just send condolences and say that they got me. Folks I hadn't spoken to since, my Neo days when I actually used to road trip. And those bros still was just like, bro, we got you.
Road trip.
Yeah, I road trip for a little bit. I was pretty out for a little while.
Yeah, I don't remember those days.
You got to remember, I was a Neo for 3 years. So, yeah, I had 3 years. Yeah. Anyway, but love you guys. Love everything that's happened. If you want to contribute before we get the school set up, you can PayPal Jennica Kimberly at gmail.com. That was her business email. So we're trying to keep all the money separate. So we're shifting it all to that PayPal address. So definitely send that as much as you like or as little as you like. We definitely appreciate every thing that you send there for the scholarship. And guys, just keep listening. We're still going to be here. Like I said, this is my therapy outside of my actual therapy sessions. So I'm going to be here. I'm going to be doing these and we'll lose sense later on and make you guys laugh. But, I know this was a serious one, but this was for you, Jennica. So I think I'm going to name this episode, Here's Looking at You, Jen. So here's looking at you, babe. We love you.